a massive legal bombshell tied to basketball legend Dwight Howard just absolutely shattered the internet. Combine that with the heartbreaking footage of his spouse sobbing on video about losing custody of her little girl to the state, alongside explosive rumors of severe narcotic abuse. Right now, the entire sports world is asking one huge question. Is this iconic center's legacy completely ruined? Before we dive deep into this crazy timeline, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss our breaking sports updates. Now, hearing the phrase court sentencing next to his name, your brain automatically jumps to the worst case scenario. You probably assume the big man committed a massive crime, and you are picturing the former superstar getting locked behind bars. However, this massive legal judgment has absolutely nothing to do with any crimes committed by the athlete himself. Instead, this entire saga revolves around a horrific crime where he was actually the victim. The villain of our story is a guy named Calvin Darden Jr. A federal judge just hit Calvin Darden Jr. with a staggering 151 months, that is more than 12 solid years in a federal penitentiary. His crime? Masterminding a massive con that robbed the superstar of $7 million, while also swindling former professional hoops player Chandler Parsons out of $1 million. This heavy hammer of justice finally dropped in federal court, bringing a dramatic close to a saga that has been dragging on for far too long. So, how did a high-profile athlete get played so badly? The con artist approached his targets claiming he was gathering a massive pool of cash to purchase an ownership stake in the prestigious women's pro basketball franchise, the Atlanta Dream. Geographically, this franchise is located right in the heart of Georgia, which happens to be the very same metropolis where our star spent his childhood. He was raised right there in the city limits, dominating the high school courts at Southwest Atlanta Christian Academy. Naturally, the prospect of purchasing a Major League sports franchise in his beloved hometown felt like a perfect, logical career milestone. It was a massive lifelong goal. Taking the witness stand, the basketball legend explained under oath how the slick-talking fraudster completely manipulated him into wiring over $7 million, falsely promising that the mountain of cash was going directly toward officially acquiring the franchise. Furthermore, this scheme was incredibly sophisticated, far from some empty sales pitch. The scammer had shockingly teamed up with the player's own representative at the time, Charles Briscoe, to make the bogus acquisition look completely legitimate. To add extreme credibility, they lied to the superstar, claiming heavy hitters like legendary director Tyler Perry, Hollywood icon Issa Rae, and legendary four-time tennis champion Naomi Osaka had all been brought on board as high-level consultants to expertly navigate this massive acquisition across the finish line. Sadly, it was all smoke and mirrors. Reality painted a much darker picture, as absolutely none of those famous A-listers or their corporate entities had ever signed any paperwork to act as consultants or financial backers for the women's franchise. In fact, most of these celebrities had absolutely no clue who this con artist even was. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Where exactly did all those $7 million vanish? Well, the fraudster instantly blew $500,000 on a pair of exotic sports cars, dropped $10,000 on a grand piano, slapped down $765,000 to secure a magnificent $3.7 million estate, wasted $90,000 on high-end designer timepieces, and casually tossed another $500,000 at crazy mansion renovations, on top of blowing hundreds of thousands of dollars on incredibly rare paintings. He was scooping up exclusive pieces from top-tier artists, collecting premium automobiles, and basically treating the legendary center's bank account like his own personal piggy bank. If you think that is wild, just wait, it gets significantly crazier. The basketball star heartbreakingly admitted that he only figured out he had zero ownership stake in the franchise while scrolling through a massive sports network article. A headline literally broke the news to him that the squad was actually purchased by an elite syndicate featuring retired professional guard Renee Montgomery back in 2021. Let that absolute insanity sink in for a second. A global sports icon literally had to read a random online article to finally understand he had been completely played for a fool. While on the stand, the state attorney bluntly asked the athlete what exactly his $7 million actually bought him, prompting the star to bitterly reply that all he received was a massive slap across the jaw. Shockingly, this was far from the criminal's first rodeo in the underworld of high-stakes deception. Way back in 2005, this exact same individual was found guilty of orchestrating severe financial crimes up in New York, and he caught another massive federal charge in the same state a decade later in 2015. That particular 2015 hustle centered around a complete fabricated deal to sell a famous men's lifestyle magazine, along with a Phantom Pro basketball showcase over in Taiwan. Yep, this latest disaster marked strike 3 on his criminal record. Therefore, when the magistrate slammed the gavel down and ordered over 12 long years behind bars, it was the ultimate punishment for a serial grifter who refused to learn his lesson and immediately sprinted right back into the con game. This guy literally siphoned away massive fortunes from retired hardwood legends, laundering their hard-earned salaries into sprawling estates, entire showrooms of exotic sports cars, and priceless museum-quality canvases. Earning his third major strike, this heavy-handed prison term sends a screaming message to the public. Devastating. Penalties will absolutely crush anybody trying to build an empire on lies and deceit. On top of spending more than 12 years staring at concrete walls, the court mandated that the scammer must surrender $8 million in cold hard cash, alongside giving up every single premium vehicle and designer item he hoarded. Furthermore, the judge slapped him with a massive legal bill, forcing him to cover financial damages totaling a staggering $8 million. Interestingly enough, the defense attorneys representing the fraudster, who conveniently decided to skip his own sentencing hearing, refused to offer any statement to the press. Now, if you look at the legendary center's financial portfolio in 2025, experts project his wealth at roughly $140 million. Because of that massive war chest, this theft did not completely bankrupt him. But hey, if someone steals $7 million from you, that is still $7 million gone forever. Plus, the emotional damage cuts incredibly deep when you realize the mastermind pulling the strings was secretly collaborating with the very management team trusted to protect you. So that completely covers the courtroom drama. Yes, somebody is getting locked up, but it is the criminal who ripped off the superstar, not the basketball icon going to jail. However, this shocking legal verdict barely tips the iceberg of the absolute chaos currently surrounding this legendary athlete's private life. This massive financial scam is merely a single page in a terrifying thriller, and the upcoming bombshells will reveal exactly why the internet thinks his public image is officially dead. Before we unpack the rest of this madness, if you are enjoying this breakdown, tap subscribe. Now, to truly grasp why this downfall feels so colossal, we have to rewind and respect what an absolute monster he used to be on the hardwood. We are not talking about some average benchwarmer here. During his prime, this guy was undisputedly the most terrifyingly unstoppable big man on the planet. Setting historic milestones, he etched his name as merely the third prospect in the entire sport's history to get drafted first overall without ever playing a single minute of college ball. The year was 2004, and the Orlando basketball franchise selected him, expecting this teenage phenom to single-handedly resurrect their dying organization. Entering the professional ranks as an 18-year-old freak of nature standing 6 feet 10 inches tall, he boasted a physical frame massive enough to simply bully grown men in the paint and strap an entire roster onto his back. Right out of the gate during his debut campaign, he smashed records, becoming the youngest rookie ever to pull down a double-digit average of 10. What is up, basketball fans? Smash that subscribe button before we uncover the wild rise and fall of a true hardwood legend! We are talking about the ultimate board crasher, the most youthful hooper to drop a nightly double-double, and the absolute lone rookie ever to tip off all 82 matchups. Fresh out of his teenage years. From day one, this phenom leveled up every single season. Across his spectacular 8-year run repping the Orlando Magic, this 6'10" powerhouse threw down 18.4 points, ripped down 13 boards, and swatted 2.2 shots a night. The man absolutely locked down the paint, snatching Defensive Player of the Year honors for 3 consecutive campaigns stretching from 2009 through 2011. Not only that, he secured first-team All-NBA status during his last 5 campaigns in Florida. His absolute zenith hit in 2009. The guy looked like an untouchable juggernaut, literally bulldozing past peak LeBron James to punch a ticket to the 2009 NBA Finals. He carried an underdog Magic squad, a roster absolutely no one predicted would survive, straight into the ultimate title showdown. Sure, they ultimately dropped the series against the legendary Lakers, but the message was sent loud and clear. Dwight Howard was officially a global superstar. He adopted the Superman persona, even strapping on the iconic red cape during that legendary slam dunk contest. If you are enjoying this trip down memory lane, hit that like button right now! At that moment, he shared the league's throne with LeBron and Kobe. Racking up 8 All-Star nods and 8 All-NBA selections, alongside 3 Defensive Player of the Year trophies, he eventually captured a 2020 championship ring and secured an Olympic gold medal representing Team USA. According to SpotRack, he pocketed $245.1 million strictly from NBA contracts. Those stats scream Hall of Fame. And sure enough, in 2025, history was etched in stone. Dwight secured his legacy as a first ballot inductee into the prestigious Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2025. Yet, the brutal decline actually kicked off way before the public noticed. His lower back began breaking down, a shocking reality for a guy built like a Greek god. He sat out 28 matchups during the 2011-12 season, ultimately going under the knife, a blown-out spinal disc once the year wrapped. He completely lost his explosive edge. Demanding an exit from Orlando, he engineered a blockbuster trade to the Lakers in 2012. Honestly, that move signaled his tragic downward spiral. Sharing the floor with the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant proved to be an absolute train wreck. As he hit his career midpoint, the modern evolution of basketball simply left him in the dust. He remained a traditional paint-bound big man while the whole league shifted toward perimeter spacing and three-pointers. After a deep playoff run to the 2015 Western Conference Finals, riding shotgun with James Harden on the second-seed Rockets, his court time completely vanished as he bounced between incredibly mediocre franchises caught in completely bleak rebuilding phases. His once glorious trajectory nosedived fast, reducing a generational talent into a total transient veteran the second he hit his 30s. He suitcase hopped across the map, suiting up for the Orlando Magic, Los Angeles Lakers, Houston Rockets, Atlanta Hawks, Charlotte Hornets, Washington Wizards, and the Philadelphia 76ers. That equals 7 different uniforms across 18 long campaigns. For a dude who was previously crowned the most dominant big man in the entire sport, that chaotic resume speaks volumes. Hey, he did finally snatch that elusive championship, grabbing his only ring with LA. During the crazy pandemic bubble season of 2019-20, make sure you subscribe so you never miss these wild sports breakdowns. However, by that stage, he was far from the main attraction. He transformed into a basic rotational guy, just catching lobs and defending the rim. The former superstar who single-handedly dragged the whole city to the finals had morphed into nothing more than a background character. Following his final NBA run in 2021-22 with the purple and gold, his phone went completely dead. Loudmouth Sports analyst Stephen A. Smith dropped hints that he always knew exactly why front offices blacklisted the big man after his final tour around the association. The mystery of why the entire league suddenly blackballed him haunted the sports world for years. But the 8-time All-Star found a massive second life and insane fan love over in Taiwan after inking a deal with the Taoyuan Leopards. The guy packed his bags, flew across the globe, and absolutely balled out. Suiting up for the Taoyuan Leopards in the Taiwanese T1 League, he completely dominated the glass to win the rebounding crown and snatched first-team all-defensive honors. Even after sitting out a bunch of matchups, nursing physical setbacks, taking things to the boardroom, he bought an ownership stake in a Taiwanese franchise and later linked up with ICE, Cube's Big 3 tournament for the 2025 summer stretch. But as his professional hoops journey faded to black, an entirely different, highly controversial narrative was just catching fire. The big man's private life turned into an absolute media circus, racking up a massive string of wild accusations. Back in 2023, a massive civil case dropped that completely shattered the internet. Howard found himself dragged into the spotlight by a male model's legal filings, which alleged the ex-champion and guaranteed Hall of Famer committed sexual assault more than 2 years prior during a 3-way encounter at the athlete's massive Atlanta mansion. The plaintiff, Stephen Harper, submitted. Official documents claiming the basketball star and another individual pressured him into non-consensual acts on July 19th, 2021. The superstar acknowledged that the intimate encounter with Harper and the third party happened, but adamantly defended that everyone involved was a willing participant, prompting him to furiously battle the claims in front of a judge. Taking to social media, he dropped a clip completely sidestepping the gritty details of the litigation, firing back at the haters by stating whatever happens behind his closed doors is purely his business, totally off limits to bloggers and the general masses. Ultimately, the entire legal drama wrapped up. The civil action targeting the former NBA icon over the alleged assault and battery charges got completely thrown out. Based on official dockets reviewed by ESPN, the termination order was stamped in Gwinnett County, Georgia, and was surprisingly submitted by the original accuser, Stephen Harper. The plaintiff formally dropped every single allegation leveled at the defensive legend with prejudice, permanently blocking him from ever dragging these specific accusations back into a courtroom. If you love this deep dive, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. The Baller's attorneys fiercely maintain no crime occurred, framing the entire spectacle as nothing but a textbook example of a one-sided, rejected romance. Welcome back, sports fans. Before we unpack today's wild basketball drama, smash that like button. Now, according to his legal team, after just one mutual night out, the towering center completely lost interest in keeping up with Mr. Harper. But honestly, the public relations nightmare had already exploded across the internet. Word of this messy legal battle made plenty of folks in the press jump to some wild conclusions. In fact, league insiders whispered that the looming courtroom drama absolutely terrified front offices, stopping them from handing him a contract. A lot of fans think this exact scandal slammed the door shut on his professional career way earlier than expected. And if you think that is crazy, make sure you are subscribed, because we need to talk about Royce Reed. She is the mother to his oldest boy, Braylon, who came into the world back in 2007. Well, as 2024 was wrapping up, she decided to absolutely torch her ex on the timeline, putting the father of her 17-year-old teenager on full blast. The former reality television superstar went absolutely nuclear on social media, dropping a massive list of heavy claims. She painted the retired athlete as an absentee dad who deliberately ruined her career while playing twisted mind games. These allegations are no joke, guys. She even claimed he forced physical boundaries in the bedroom without her true consent. She stated she was pressured into... Before we get into these shocking details, hit that like button and subscribe. Now, regarding those past actions, she admitted feeling unsure. Yet, lacking life experience, she just accepted the situation as standard procedure, never once raising a single red flag. Unfortunately, that was the exact moment the nightmare escalated into severe psychological, emotional, and physical mistreatment. She vividly remembers being constantly belittled and called completely worthless. The narrative spun against her was devastating. She was made to believe she was utterly unlovable, while the public supposedly adored him and absolutely despised her. But Royce Reed didn't just stop there. She unleashed horrific allegations regarding the basketball star's fatherhood skills. Labeling the former hardwood icon as pure malice, she dropped a bombshell, claiming he berated a 12-year-old child with homophobic remarks simply for avoiding adult films. Furthermore, the dancer firmly insisted that the superstar dragged his feet for nearly 5 excruciating years before finally dismissing caregivers accused of crossing unspeakable boundaries with 2 of his kids. The fiery accusations continued as she absolutely torched him for snatching up custody of another child, only to immediately hand off raising duties to his own folks. His alleged priority? Shipping off overseas to keep hooping professionally in the Taiwanese leagues. If you are enjoying this deep dive, make sure you are subscribed. Now, this bitter courtroom war isn't new. It spans way over 10 years. Back in 2010, she actually petitioned for a judge to mandate strict supervision whenever the athlete spent time with their boy. The big man clapped back instantly, dropping a massive $500 million legal bomb on her head, furiously charging that she trashed a strict confidentiality agreement by feeding toxic gossip straight to the tabloids. The feud is still blazing hot today. Terrifyingly, she now claims to live in constant paranoia, asserting the center has issued multiple dark warnings. Things got incredibly grim when she suggested he might have actually ordered a targeted strike against her life. Through all this chaos, the legendary defender has stayed incredibly quiet. When pressed about this massive drama bomb late in 2024. He casually brushed it off to the shade room, stating, "This is my legacy season. I am tying the knot, and I truly hope my ex finds ultimate tranquility and good fortune." Interestingly, the former champion shares 5 offspring with 5 separate mothers, though word on the street is none belong to his current fiancée. His very first heir, Breelon, arrived back in 2007 with Royce. Meanwhile, his oldest girl, Ela, was brought into the world by Tiffany Render in October of 2010. Just a couple of months down the line in December, another daughter named Jade was welcomed by a Canadian workout influencer known as Hope Alexa. The superstar's namesake and second boy, Trey, dropped in 2013, co-parented with Christine Vest. Finally, the youngest of the bunch, David, also arrived in December 2013. Tragically, his mother, property broker Melissa Rios, passed away following a fatal medical emergency involving seizures back in 2020. To recap, 5 kids, 5 unique baby mamas, 1 devastating loss, and several ex-partners hurling severe allegations of toxic behavior. That pipelines us straight into today's headline. Drop a like if you are ready for this. Enter Amy Luciani and a highly publicized engagement completely falling to pieces. This new leading lady caught up in the hurricane is none other than reality television royalty. Fans definitely recognize her from explosive runs on seasons 11 and 12 of the hit reality show Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, making a massive entrance alongside her trio of siblings. Born Amber Rose, she completely rebranded herself. Welcome back to the channel, sports fans. Before we dive into the wild roller coaster surrounding NBA legend Dwight Howard, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. The chaos really kicked off back in December 2024, right around his engagement to Lucy, which initially sparked a media frenzy due to a bizarre mix-up with another model. Fast forward to January 11th, 2025. The pair tied the knot, but if you were expecting a massive, star-studded Hollywood blowout, think again. They kept things incredibly low-key. Picture this, exchanging vows and matching laid-back pink tracksuits. But do not let the cozy aesthetics fool you, because the honeymoon phase crashed and burned in record time. By the 1st of July, 2025, the new bride was already marching to the courthouse to file for a legal separation, claiming the romance was completely damaged beyond repair. Let us do the math here, folks. That is barely 6 months of wedded bliss before the legal documents were drawn up. But wait, here comes the plot twist. They actually pumped the brakes on the split. They managed to patch things up and call off the lawyers. Fans and critics alike really believe the darkest days were in the rearview mirror. If you are hooked on this crazy timeline, do not forget to hit that subscribe button for more updates. During that messy chapter, the basketball star's wife jumped on her social media to completely trash the internet rumors suggesting she was plotting to snatch half of his massive fortune. She swore up and down that she had not asked the big man for a single dime. In fact, she dropped a major bombshell, revealing she actually pushed hard for a prenuptial agreement from day one. Her public stance was crystal clear. She respects his hustle, believes his massive bank account belongs strictly to him, and absolutely refuses to let anyone label her as a gold digger. She brought up the financial protection first, and get this, he flat out refused. That is an absolutely wild detail. The former center, who raked in well over $245 million during his time on the hardwood, literally rejected a legal shield. That definitely does not paint the picture of a millionaire getting played for his cash. Instead, it shows a man who was fully invested and truly believed this partnership was going the distance. But hold on to your seats, because here we are in March 2026, and the entire fairy tale has completely imploded once again. And trust me, the sequel is significantly darker. The estranged wife just dropped a nuclear revelation, claiming that Child Protective Services actually stepped in and removed her daughter, placing the blame squarely on the former basketball superstar's shoulders. She stated bluntly that he is battling a very serious illicit powder addiction and desperately needs professional intervention. Her heartbreaking message to the world was raw and unfiltered. This dangerous habit is exactly what is destroying my family. According to her explosive allegations, the veteran athlete's reckless lifestyle directly triggered child welfare authorities to show up at their front door on 3 separate occasions. What happens when a basketball legend's off-court life turns into an absolute nightmare? Welcome back, sports fans. Before we dive into the madness, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a breaking story. We are talking multiple visits in under 2 months, with the latest shocker dropping just 3 days ago when the authorities actually stepped in to remove their little girl. His wife, Amy Luciani, just took to Instagram with an incredibly emotional update, exposing the massive cracks in their relationship, revealing that Child Protective Services was called to their house over and over again until their daughter was finally taken away. Amy admitted she was totally embarrassed to broadcast her family drama to the world, but felt she had absolutely no other choice, dropping even more shocking bombshells. She claimed that when law enforcement and social workers arrived for their kid, her husband desperately tried to manufacture a fake cover story. She refused to play along. In retaliation, he allegedly manipulated his own stepson into lying for him, a conversation she actually caught on tape. Let that sink in. We are talking about accusations that Dwight actively pressured his own family to deceive government investigators. Amy made it super clear that she absolutely adores his kids and is completely devastated that protecting them is destroying her marriage. She stated, and I quote, "I could spend hours talking about my own suffering, but right now, my only focus is on these kids," end quote. As of this broadcast, the former athlete has not issued a single word regarding these massive claims from his wife. The 40-year-old, an 8-time league all-star and 2020 title winner with the purple and gold, has kept completely silent about the viral video. Legally, Dwight and Amy remain tied the knot, with zero official movement on their split lately. But let us be real, folks, these fresh internet uploads are practically guaranteed to put that legal separation into overdrive. Think about how insane this timeline is. This guy just locked up his spot in the prestigious Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame under 12 months ago, and today his spouse is sobbing online about heavy narcotics and social services. Ripping kids out of their house. You literally cannot script a harder reality check than that. It is a monumental collapse that no amount of trophies or rebounds can ever fix. Are we witnessing the final chapter? That brings us to the real debate today. Is Dwight's public image permanently destroyed? Let us break down the facts. We know a fraudster who conned the big man out of $7 million just got slapped with more than 12 years behind bars. So that specific nightmare is finally in the rearview mirror. The legal system did its job, even though those missing funds are probably gone for good. That grifter, Darden, was found guilty last fall for major electronic deception, financial schemes, and hiding illicit cash. A judge mandated Darden Jr. to hand over $8 million, strip him of his high-end rides and designer gear, and he is on the hook to repay $8 million in damages. But look at the rest of Dwight's chaotic life. That awful misconduct case, sure, it was thrown out, but the dark cloud it left hanging over him completely stuck around. Then you have the endless drama with Royce Reed, stretching back 10 plus years, the wild reality of having 5 kids with 5 separate mothers, the lightning fast wedding to Amy that imploded almost immediately, the swirling rumors about hard drugs, the knocking on the door from child welfare, a minor being extracted from the residence. This superstar has battled constant media storms and harsh claims throughout his entire run, usually centering around toxic romances and severe behavioral red flags. That is straight from the press, and it is undeniably true. If you are loving this deep dive, take a second to subscribe. We bring the heat every day, year after year. It is another crazy front page story. Always a fresh rumor, always a messy reality. Now, if we strictly talk hoops, his legendary status is locked in stone, slated for the 2025 Hall of Fame class. 8-time All-Star, 5-time rebounding king, 2-time block leader, 2020. League title holder, 8-time All-NBA selection, 5-time All-Defensive Team, and a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Those banners wave forever. Anytime you step foot inside the legendary museum up in Springfield, Massachusetts, his jersey and legacy will be hanging right there. That is permanent. However, how we remember a guy goes way beyond shiny hardware. His professional run was a wild roller coaster across the league, filled with failed experiments, physical setbacks, a sudden comeback tour, and ultimately that glorious ring with Los Angeles in 2020. Realistically, we have watched 2 different versions of this big man across 18 years. But stepping off the hardwood, we are seeing a totally different third version of him emerge. A guy remembered less for his dunks and far more for the absolute circus trailing his private affairs. After hanging up his sneakers, he has been grinding to set up his next chapter, which includes buying a stake in an overseas squad over in Taiwan, making huge waves in the Big Three tournament, and throwing cash into various corporate startups. Plus, he inked a massive deal with an entertainment firm and jumped headfirst into reality TV. The dude is hustling to stay in the spotlight, yet absolutely none of these business moves can mask the disaster unfolding behind closed doors. You have his current spouse begging for him to get professional help, his former flame from 20 years back labeling him a total menace. He lost $7 million simply because he hung around absolute sharks, and now state workers are carrying his child out the front door. Guys, when we ask if it is game over for this superstar, we are definitely not referring to his jump shot. The league waved goodbye to him seasons ago. The association evolved without him. The modern style shifted, pushing his skill set to the absolute fringes until he just vanished from the roster. What the public is actually mourning right now is the hope that this athletic icon might ride off into a peaceful sunset. Because frankly, with every single leaked text, every fresh police report, and every gut-wrenching video upload, a happy ending sounds like an absolute joke. Hey, hit that subscribe button if you are still with us. They say right before the end, your entire existence replays in your mind. The center himself admitted that when the Hall of Fame rang his phone, his entire journey on the court, my entire world started flashing right before my eyes. I just completely broke down in tears, my legs literally giving out from underneath me. I honestly thought you could only weep that hard when absolute tragedy struck. Man, do those quotes hit way differently today? Because right at this very moment, an absolute nightmare is unfolding. Quick timeout before we unpack this wild ride. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, listen up, because this isn't about hoops. This is about a giant who used to call himself Superman, who is currently watching his entire personal universe crumble on the public stage. Can Dwight Howard actually bounce back from this absolute train wreck? Whether he manages to script a massive comeback story somewhere down the line is still a huge mystery. But let me tell you, as we sit here today, the outlook is incredibly grim. And the fans watching are definitely not holding their breath. Ironically, throwing the scammer who robbed him behind bars is the only piece of clean closure we have seen in this whole chaotic saga. Every single other detail is a giant question mark, left completely up in the air. And for Dwight Howard, a megastar who used to completely dominate the NBA landscape, the conversation is no longer about his hardwood legacy. The burning question now is how he survives this massive fallout. And the crazy part? Not a single soul, not his current wife, not his former partners, nor the public has any clue how to solve this puzzle. If you are enjoying this deep dive, drop a like and subscribe right now. Listen, the courtroom verdict for his fraudster is official, but the real prison Dwight Howard might be trapped in today, the one fueled by shattered relationships, brutal, viral allegations, and a daily reality spinning totally out of control. That specific sentence definitely does not come with a clear release date. That exact uncertainty is what is fueling all the massive internet chatter. That is why millions are glued to their screens, and it is the exact reason why the moment you spot a thumbnail screaming Dwight Howard, it is all over, you instantly smash that video to find out if the curtains have finally closed. And honestly, we are still waiting on that final answer. However, every single piece of evidence out there points to one heartbreaking truth. The Dwight Howard we cheered for, the unstoppable Superman, the ultimate champion, the future Hall of Famer, has likely left the building for good. What exactly takes his place is anybody's wild guess.